start it, you got to tell me I'm doing a safe start.
Okay.
Safe start's got 3 components to it. Your brakes, neutral, and clutch. Clutch has got to be in. Especially those 2 new trucks over there and that one there. If you do not push the clutch in, it will not start. So,
Brakes, neutral,
Cut out.
and
I've seen
clutch.
cars like that. I've never seen a car
So,
like that.
That's what I say.
3 components.
If you check your brakes to make sure they're set when you first get in, that's the first part of your safe start already taken care of. You already mentioned it.
Okay,
Check
next.
your brakes. And you want to check your brakes before you put your seatbelt on? Or?
That I do it so I get it out of the way. Brakes, then I go to my mirrors are adjusted to me, then I go right back to my seatbelt. Make sure seatbelt. Now you hadn't said anything about it at all, so we got to talk about the condition. It's securely mounted. In other words, fastened to the bulkhead.
There's a rip.
Yep, it's in good shape. No rips or tears,
Latches
So the 3
and
components,
unlatches
first
were
one is
done
brake
properly.
set.
and you have to do it. Latches and unlatches. Okay. Now I'm set up. If you want to go and do other things now, you can, but until you turn the engine on, there's certain things you can't check, can you?
Right.
So you might as well go ahead and do a safe start. I've already talked about my brakes. Gear shifts in neutral. Remember, all you have to do, if it doesn't bounce, then it's in gear. If it bounces, you're in neutral. My clutch in. You've got to tell us what you're doing so we know. We're sitting over there, we're idiots. If you don't tell us what you're doing, we have no clue. First thing you want to check is your ABS light. You got to remember, this has got a cycle. The computer's got a cycle, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my keys on. My ABS light comes on and goes off. Okay, now I can finish starting. I started up.
Okay, so anytime after ABS goes out.
Well, what it is,
Now I know some
If you
trucks
look
take
at your-
longer for everything.
if you look at your dials on this truck for computer to do thing,
cycles.
okay, now you can start it.
Okay.
So
You,
you
don't have to say anything about that, but you know on this truck, it's got a cycle.
Yeah, every truck's
So-
a little bit different. This one's pretty good.
Yeah.
This one.
All your new trucks, your computer's got to do its thing, so you might as well take that time and mention your ABS light coming on and going off.
Well, it should come on and
Reality,
go out
wait
by
until your
itself.
tax cycles.
Don't have to wait till that, you know. Well, if you're looking, you're waiting till this needle comes over and it starts to back. Then you know the computer's done its thing.
So it's going to the ABS is going to come on by itself and it should go off by itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it doesn't go off, then you've got a
Your
problem.
foot right now is on the clutch.
My foot's on the clutch.
Okay.
I'm going to start it up. I'm going to slowly let my foot off the clutch. The reason for that is, say something's screwed up down there. You think, okay, I've checked it, my gear shift's in neutral, but maybe your linkage is screwed up and broken down there. You don't want to just dump your clutch. Well, you never want to dump your clutch to start off with. And all of a sudden it takes off on you. You want to let your clutch out. If you feel something, then you go push your clutch back in. Check your gear shift again. If you know it's in neutral, okay. If it's, shut it off, get a mechanic. There's something screwed up down there. Okay. Notice our water temperatures drop back off, right? But that's not what we're worried about. We're worried about that our gauges are coming up to proper operating level. Because when you first start off in the start up in the morning, it's going to be down here at 0. It's cold as shit. But you can see my gauges are starting to come up. Your oil pressure is going to be higher when you first start up because that oil's thick. It hasn't warmed up. So you tell me, my oil pressure is coming up to proper operating level. My water temperature is coming up to proper operating level. My volts have come up to proper operating level, showing that it's charging, or coming up to proper operating level between 12 and 14. They both mean the same thing.
So you
They
don't
both mean that my system is charging.
Okay, so do you have to use, like, say, my air pressure is coming up to operating level, my water temperature is coming up to operating.
Proper operating level,
Yeah.
coming up
Proper.
to.
Can you say operating range or just level?
Range. Range is fine too. It's main's basically the same thing as level, doesn't it?
Yes.
And my voltage is in between 12 and 14.
Or coming up proper operating level, showing that it's charging.
Okay.
Now, some people prefer to say 12 and 14 because it's easier to remember. Some want to say it's showing that it's charging because they can't remember the 12 and 14. They both mean the same thing, right? If it's between 12 and 14, your system's charging, isn't it?
You're right.
So, my air pressure is coming up to proper operating level between 100 and 125. Where do we get our range from?
The range, you're gonna get the range from
Your kick in for your compressor is approximately 100. Your kick out is approximately 125.
right.
So that gives you your proper operating range. Then you'll go ahead and mention approximately 125 is my kick out. You've covered everything now. What you've done now is you've told me what the range is and the kick out. So if it comes to the very end and you start it back up to bring it up to your kick out again, and you forget to mention kick out's approximately 125, well, you already mentioned it, didn't you?
So you can't say my air range is normal between 120 and 125.
Okay, 120 and 125 is your kick out. That's why I say approximately 125.
You gotta say it like that.
You can say it. You can say that. But what we're trying to teach you is what you're actually looking for. Okay? If you get in and it just wants to sit there and go between 115 and 120, kicking in and out, kicking in and out, kicking in and out, kicking in and out, you've got a problem. So what we're trying to teach you is your proper range is approximately 120 to 125. If your range, if it drops down to approximately 100 and then kicks back in, you know your kick in is working. If it comes up to approximately 125 and kicks out, you know your kick out's working. Okay? If you just say coming up, because that's the way it's written in the sheet, between 120 and 125, yeah, we're going to give it to you because that's your kick out. What we want you to learn is what you're actually, here's one point where we're kind of deviating because we want you to know what you're looking at.
So your kick out is between 120 and 125, which I have it written up PSI, and your range is
100 to 125.
so 100 to 125.
Right, because that's where your kick in is at.
So that's two
Approximately
separate
100.
things.
Yeah.
Right.
Kick in, kick out.
Okay.
So you must say my normal range is between 100 and 125, and my kick out is between 120 and 125 PSI.
Which is actually approximately